Mm.
Just trying to find some recruits.
We have a saying around our place: we eat off the floor. And if you're willing to eat off the floor, you can be special.
Our next guest eats off the floor every single day for his clients. Chuck Mullins, attorney at law, attorney to the stars, Cleveland Browns super fan, joins us on the Out of Bounds show, ESPN 1059 The Zone. Chuck Mullins, good morning. How the hell are you?
I'm good, man. I was going to give you a Macho Man just then. You kind of pumped me up, but I backed off.
You backed off.
It's like, nah, it's too early.
Yeah. Well, you're probably ordering a Drew Lock jersey. Isn't he going to start for the Browns this year at quarterback?
No, the season's not even started. Who knows, man? We're just kind of, we're taking applications now.
Mm.
So, we'll take anybody that looks like they can throw a football.
Yeah, that's why I thought like y'all'd make a play for Tua, who's wildly overrated. Somebody like that would be perfect for y'all. Kind of following up the Deshaun disaster.
The Deshaun disaster is it's probably going to be taught in sports business classes in the future.
Yes.
How not to do things. Wow. And look, I know you're calling me about Myles Garrett, and I think that disaster led to where we are today.
Okay. Walk me through that.
Well, of course, you take us back to 4 years ago in the spring of 2022 when we acquired Deshaun in the trade and essentially said, made the I think that at that time, it's kind of laughable now, but at that time, the Browns they just came off losing to the Chiefs the year before in the playoffs. And they had an injury-plagued quarterback season with Baker in 2021. So 2022, all the pieces were there on offense and defense was stout. And so they needed that quarterback, and Deshaun Watson was there. And they sacrificed their entire franchise at that point with the 3 first-round picks and I think several other second-round picks for Deshaun Watson, hoping he would be the guy. And when that didn't turn up, and now 4 years later, it was a disaster, as you say. And in order to restart, they trade their best player, arguably one of the best players in the league, definitely best defensive player, and to try to get back to what they were trying to get 4 years ago. And so that's why I say, had that not happened with Deshaun, we would be in much better shape with Baker Mayfield. And I hate to say that. I hate to be that guy, but I'm going to be that guy. If you would have just had his quarterback play for the last 3 or 4 years, he'd be a totally different franchise.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, I mean, it's if you look at the Browns, it's all, for the last 3 years, it's not only been an ineffective quarterback play, but Deshaun's not even been on the field. Last year he missed completely. The first year he was suspended the first 11 games. And it's you haven't even got the product that you purchase. You go in there, you get the shiny toy, and you're going to take it home and play with it, but you break it in the car. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's and we didn't even get a chance to see what it looks like. And you essentially squandered the best defense, one of the best defenses in the league for the last, half decade, with inept quarterback. I like to call it, football malpractice is what they committed. and it is what it is.
That is fantastic. Chuck Mullins, Cleveland Browns superfan. Football malpractice again in Cleveland. And I can't believe, I understand the off the field stuff. I can't believe that he wasn't able to, guys have been through much worse and come back and played at a high level in the NFL, Chuck. I'm surprised he didn't. God, he was so good at Clemson. Then he showed signs of really having that pop in with the Texans, and they've been a little dysfunctional, especially on that side of the ball. Aren't you surprised he didn't turn the corner, Chuck?
Well, I am, until you delve into what everybody out there who still plays recreational sports like golf, or me at bowling at highball lanes every Tuesday night. you get into your own head, right? You know, you've done this stuff for years. You're at the top of your profession, Deshaun Watson. But then there's that mental aspect of the game. And that was it for him. I think the year off in Houston where he was completely kept off the field for, no non-football reasons.
Isolated.
The stuff he went through with the media, it was constantly in his head. God knows what he was going through in his personal life, which he brought on himself, by the way. I'm not saying he was a victim. Sure. But I think all of that came to rest on the field. He could not get past. He couldn't get out of his own head. So the talent was always there. But the mistakes that we saw him make on the field, I'm sorry, I just was thinking about one play in particular where he threw it back. It was against the Bengals. He literally threw the ball backwards halfway across the field. And I was like, what? I mean, I used to coach Madison Ridgeland youth football, man. and my kids never did anything like that. And I was thinking, my God, that's not something somebody does who has been, like, to your point, who is a stud at Clemson, who is a stud in the NFL. And it's just like, and so I think it goes back to the mental aspect of the game, which, is getting more appreciated now, but explains a lot of the, when star athletes kind of aren't stars anymore and have all the tools. I think it goes to the mental problem. And I think it's very difficult, as you know. I mean, when you got it in your head, you got the yips. Look how many baseball players.
No question. And golfers, like you mentioned, no doubt.
Yeah, it just gets in there, and it sucks. It really does. If you've experienced it, I've experienced it, and it sucks. And I think that's what we're looking at with Deshaun. But getting back, I think the trade, unfortunately, I think it was the best thing the Browns could do. I think the Rams are going to be would not want to play those guys this year. Offensively, they were number one in the NFL. Defensively, they were fourth in pressure rating. And yeah, no, exactly. And guess who they're getting? Their defense is top half of the league, and I expect them to just be, barring injury and knock on wood, I don't want anybody to get hurt. They're going to be a really fun team to watch. And I'm happy for Myles. 9 years with Cleveland, and all he did was, he was our guy week in, week out. He was the Joe Thomas.
Yeah, y'all have gone through two Hall of Famers and not gotten anything out of it.
You see, and that's the point, Bo. We've had the All-Pro Hall of Fame left tackle, and then you got this guy, the stud, and he didn't produce the wins. So I'd rather have 11, good to average to good players than the one superstar. And I think, it was great having Myles, great having Joe Thomas. But I think, again, going back to the football malpractice, you have to do more.
Yeah. Fair enough. Chuck Mullins on the Out of Bounds Show, Cleveland Browns super fan, attorney at law. And, we'll see who Cleveland's going to start at quarterback this year and who they could get maybe down the line. Thanks, Chuck. Be good, buddy.
Later, guys. Take care. Have a good weekend.
All right, man. We got to do a fantasy football hit with Chuck Mania, don't you think? Yeah. I mean, it's never too early. Ever. All right. We are the Out of Bounds Show, ESPN 105.9 The Zone. And Jake Manning will join us coming up next. And we're going to talk about all kinds of things as far as your game day experience. We're going to get into that. All right. Here we go.